So hello everybody, welcome back. I hope that you find this information helpful somehow, and I hope that it helps you out. And anyway, grab your coffee and grab, a notebook and something to write, because this one is going to make you think a lot, and this one, it probably doesn't make sense because it will probably, shock a lot of people. But anyway, so I also wanted to remind you that I created a Telegram group in which you can join between March, April, May, and June 2022, as in the Gregorian calendar. And it will be $15, $5 per month. And the information to do that will be down below. We will be discussing mostly things about trading, hyperinflation, and prepping properly, as in from the end of the deal rather than from the beginning. And I hope this information is helpful, and I also hope that you can join and you can share this information with other people so that we can experience other people's perspectives, which is important. Now, without further ado, I have a question. Have you ever wondered about time and how we probably don't understand it? And then you're like, what? What do you mean? It's easy. Days have 24 hours, and then each hour has 60 minutes, and then each minute has 60 seconds, and stuff like that, right? And of course, then we have days, we have weeks, and then we have months, and then we have years, and then we have decades and centuries and millennia, right? Right. Except that it doesn't make sense. And then you're like, what do you mean it doesn't make sense? It's a mathematical thing. Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. So, when I was 7 years old, I remember, by the way, I'm going to tell you why I remember later. But I was 7, and we were learning a little bit about Roman numbers. And I remember that I thought that it was kind of stupid to learn about Roman numbers because, nobody will use Roman numbers anymore, so why learn them? And I remember that it kind of made sense, the way that they handle things based upon the hand and stuff like that, which I was okay with that. Except that, it was my 7th birthday. And then I said to my teacher that months do not make sense. And then she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, let's see. I am going to be 7. And 7th, as in, 7th with the TH, is séptimo, as in 7th, right? In Spanish. So if 7th is, as in séptimo, means number 7, then why September, which is a month, which is septem, as in septimo, that means that it's supposed to be number 7, then why is it number 9? And why October, which is the same as octopus, which is the same as, 8, then why is that October number 10? And why is it November, as in 9? Is it the month 11? And why December, as in decena, as in decen, as in 10? Why is it number 12? I don't get it. And then she said, Well, that is an interesting question. And then I said, yeah. I mean, come on, it doesn't make sense. If you're going to call 7, then the month should be number 7. It should not go to July. July is the number 7. So either the adults really screwed up, and now they're changing the numbers, which I told her, okay, if you're going to change the number, that's fine, because I understand that you change the number from Romans, which is very, very hard and difficult to write and all those stuff. I cannot imagine doing, mathematical operations with this, but if you're going to change it, do I have to worry about changing numbers? Because if I'm going to change numbers, I was worried about 3 things. I was worried about changing numbers over my lifetime or something, and then I was going to have to call, I don't know, the numbers pig or owl or I don't know. I was in my head. I was imagining that numbers were going to be animals for all I know, because they are changing the freaking names, and it doesn't make sense. And it was very difficult for me to understand why will you call 7, 9 instead of just saying 7, So then my teacher, and remember this was when I was 7. My teacher actually, she made a story. She told me a story about the Roman emperors. And then I was listening because, I was wondering about who had the power to change the freaking numbers and the freaking, names. I mean, who has the power to change language? That if somebody has the power to change language, I want to know. So, I was kind of scared of this person, by the way. Whoever the Roman emperor was, because at that time, I remember that I thought that the Roman emperor was alive and they were going to hang people and stuff like that, and I was freaked out about the Roman Empire. And I also thought that we were all Roman. And I was, I was really kind of screwed up when I was little in terms of history and geography and stuff like that. So I was kind of scared of a Roman Empire or something, and the Roman emperor things. Crap. So she said, look, in the times of Rome, the Roman emperors were fighting each other, kind of like brothers. And I said, kind of like me and my brothers. And she said, yeah, kind of like that. So the 2 emperors were fighting as to who was going to get 1 month named after them. And then I was kind of like, what? And she said, well, you see, each Roman emperor had 1 month of the year named after them. And there were days and time was measured based upon astronomy. And that's why, Sunday is the day that you are supposed to worship the sun. Monday is Moon Day, as in the day that you are supposed to worship the moon. And kind of like that. And then I said, oh, okay. So Thursday was the day that we are supposed to worship the god of thunder, which is Thor and stuff like that. So I said, oh, okay. By the way, that got me interested. And then she said, so all these gods and all these, very important figures, they had something that was named after them so that people will remember them. And I said, oh, okay. So there was a big fight. And I said, okay, between 2 emperors. One of them was Julius, and the other one was Gregory, and the other one was Octavius. And I said, okay. So there were 3 emperors that were fighting, and I have 3 brothers, so I understood that one. So they were fighting about who got the best month of the year. And I said, oh, that's easy. I have mine because it's May. And she said, no. She laughed, by the way. And then I remember that she said that it was a very, very big deal for the priests. The priests that were the ones that handle astronomy and the ones that handle knowledge. It was a very big deal because they had to name stuff after the Roman emperor, and if they did it wrong, they were going to be killed. And I said, ooh, ooh. And then she said, so they came to an agreement, and what they did is that they took 10 days out of the year. It was 10 or 11. I remember that she said that it was 10 or 11. She said that she didn't remember if it was 10 or 11. So I don't know if it is 10 or 11. She said that they took those 10 days out of the calendar, completely out of the calendar, so that they could add one more month, so that they could put the calendar and add up a space for the new emperor, which was Octavius. And then I said, oh, okay, so basically you were, she said, it's kind of like you have one cake, and they decided that, it was, a piece of the cake was too much. And so that to make it fair, and so that, all the months were kind of even, because they were all kind of 30 and 31. And she said that it was very important that the more days that the month had, the more important the emperor was. So June, it was not as important as July, because one has 31 days and the other one has 30 days. And so it was a very big deal fighting for these 10 or 12 days, 10 or 11 days. So they just blew them off of the calendar. And then I said, how can you blow these 10 days? Where do they go? I mean, I remember that I asked her, so if you made a business during those 10 days, what happened? I mean, did somebody just said, okay, these 10 days are off, these 10 days will not be, never be existed anymore? I mean, how can you just say that 10 days are out of the history of the books and everything? And I just couldn't understand. Quite frankly, I do remember that at that time I said, this all is happening because my mom is not in charge. And that's why I remember the story. Because I remember that I said to myself, this is all the fault of my mom not being there. Because if my mom was there, she would probably have divided the cake in 10 parts equally for everybody. And then it will be easy, because that way, everybody will get one finger. And that's it, and there will be no more fighting. Because my mom is a very good meddler between, my brothers and me. So, and she's very like a Solomonic kind of person, she's awesome, by the way, at handling that thing. So I remember that I was, not very pleased about my teacher's response. But I did get, the impression that all the adults were crazy. And I did get the impression that this all happened because there wasn't somebody in charge who knew how to handle, meddling situations like mothers. And I said, this is all the emperor's fault because they didn't have a mother. I know. But I was a kid, okay? But the point is that I want you to remember the following. So this was roughly 200 and something years ago. Almost 300 years ago. Okay? So almost 300 years ago, the fight between these emperors ended up cutting 10 or 11 days out of the calendar just because they wanted to. Now, I have a question. Let's say that you have, let's say that, but I don't know how to call it in feet or miles. I'm sorry about that one. So you might need to, make the conversion into whatever it is that you're using. But let's say that you have 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer is the same as 1,000 meters. Now, if for whatever reason, somebody who is in power of this thing says, okay, we are not going to call this 1 kilometer anymore because 1,000 is too much. We are 99 people, and since we are 99 people, each one of us will get 10 meters, and that is 990 meters. So we are going to call 990 meters, we're going to call it 1 kilometer, and then that way it will be even. So I have one question. Let's say that we do that today. Today we decided that 1 kilometer is no longer 1,000 meters, but instead it's going to be 990 meters because we are 99 people and we are fed up and we are not going to divide 10 meters because there is no way in hell that we can divide 10 meters between 99 people. So I have another question. What happens if now we have 100 people for each person from before? And so the 10 meters that we were missing, because we now decided that 990 meters is the same as 1 kilometer. But now we have 100 kilometers, and then we have... So I was saying, sorry, I got interrupted. So let's say that we have 10 meters that are, just off the table because they decided that we are not going to count that one. Okay? But now we have 100, kilometers because we have 100 more people for each person. So we have 100 kilometers. That means 100 more of 10 meters. So that means that we have basically 100 times 10. So we have exactly 1 kilometer more. So where are we going to put 1 kilometer more that is for all these people that are running around in this neighborhood? Where? I mean, we have literally 1 kilometer that it is completely empty because somebody screwed up in terms of the name. So you are like, yeah, what do you mean? I still don't get it. Well, the thing is that you had literally something that was 1,000. You cut 10. But now you don't have 1 unit. You have 100 units. If you add up the 10 meters for the 100 units, it's a lot. See, if you're going to do this in short term, it doesn't matter because, okay, you lose 10 days, big deal. Yeah, except for the fact that now it has been more than 200 years. Now, if each year you are literally losing 10 or 11 days every single year, how many days have you lost from the original calendar? I'm not talking the calendar that we have right now, which is the one that the guy had to put up like that because he was going to get killed if he didn't do it. I'm talking about the original calendar. The original calendar, which is, by the way, the one that the Egyptians had, and this is the one that Mayans, the Mayans had, and it is also the one that had the Hopis tribe thing in the U.S., and the one that had a lot of people that did not comply with this new calendar. It has a big difference. Because if all of the other calendars, let's say that we had 5 people that were in charge of the calendars. 4 of them, they did not go with the agreement that the Gregorian calendar did because they didn't have emperors that were going to kill them. So they kept coming at, whatever days that they had before. Which is the fact that, there is a big difference between those calendars and our calendar, as in the Gregorian calendar, which is the one that we are using right now. Because 10 days or 11 days, multiply that by more than 200 years. I don't know, let's say 300 years because it's easier. 300 years. So 300 years, that is 3,000 days. I'm going to say that again. If we are losing 10 days every year since this, priest decided to change that because he was going to get killed if he didn't, even though that he was alive, and nobody else changed the calendar. Because of course you can try changing the calendar, but that won't change the stars, and that won't change the calendars from other cultures. It was something that affected only the Roman Empire. It did not affect Mayans. It did not affect the Hopis in the US. And it did not affect the Egyptians, and it did not affect everybody else because they were not going to get killed. And also, they could not make it happen. How in the world? I don't care if you are the emperor of the Egyptian Empire or the Roman Empire, whatever, you cannot control the stars. So the stars are not going to be, stopped just because you wanted to. Okay, I know that there is a story on the Bible that says that one guy was able to stop the stars and everything for one full day because he asked God and God did that for him. But if you're not that guy and God did not do that for you, then you lost 10 days every single year for the last 300 years or 200 and something years, and that makes more than 2,000 days. So I have another question. Where the hell are those 2,000 something days? Where do you think that they are? And I'm going to ask that again. We lost more than 2,000 days from the original, and I do mean original calendar that was supposed to be kept by the Romans because it was supposed to follow the stars. It was not supposed to follow the Roman emperor. Okay? It was supposed to follow astronomy, not astrology, astronomy, as in the science that will not lie about time and stuff like that. So, where is the time? So, if we lost more than 2,000 days, and by the way, there was a professor on Twitter. He is one of the top astronomers in the entire planet. And he's also one of the, he did this with a research team from, anthropologists, astronomy, and historians, and everybody. And he said, literally, we are not in 2020. And then everybody asked, what do you mean we're not in 2020? Of course we are. Everybody even shot, took shots of their watches, of the computers and everything else. And he said, no, we're not. Because we have been taught a lie about time. And then you're like, so what? Big deal. Oh, it is a big deal. It is a big deal because if we are not in the year 2020, then what is the actual date today? Oh, by the way, that guy got the Twitter account eliminated, not even suspended, eliminated. And there were at least 4 or 5 people that could corroborate this story, and they all had some sort of problem in all kinds of platforms, and they just vanished. All of the info that they put out on this topic was banished. Why? Because it turns out that the math for more than 2,000 days that we lost because of that Roman Emperor thing, it turns out that we are actually in the year, in 2020, by the way, this is from that time. We were actually in the year of 2012. 2012, like the movie. And then you're like, what? What do you mean? Well, like the movie. And by the way, 2020 corresponds exactly with the Hopi prophecy of not having the red star, but now we will have the blue star as the center of the new calendar and stuff like that. And it all happened exactly like the Mayan calendar did said it would happen, and it all exactly happened. Because here's the deal. Because we believe that it is 2020 and nothing happened in 2012, we are thinking that nothing actually happened. But it did happen. 2012, it actually did happen. Not in the way that the movie happened, thank God. If you haven't seen that movie, in that movie, it's a very apocalyptic movie. But the Mayans said that we were going to be in the 7 year of the government of, the guy that comes against the guy that rules the most popular religion on the planet. That guy, yeah, he was supposed to take, that, possession of the power. Guess what date? 24 of December of 2020. And then you're like, what? What do you mean? What? Well, do the math. If you are going to add up the math, and by the way, like I said, all the people that have done this math, all of them got just deleted, screw up, I don't know. And there is no way, and I do mean no way, that I could have made this up because I was 7. I was freaking 7 when my teachers told me of the story of the freaking emperor and why is it that we have messed up month. If you have never asked yourself why is it the 7th, as in September, not the month number 7, and why is it that the month number 8 is October, is not October. So if, like I said, November, as in 9, is not the month number 9, then what is it? Either somebody screwed up really, really, really bad in their understanding of numeral positions and stuff like that, which that can happen because for all I know, all politicians are idiots. You can say, hey, I have seen it happen. So if the politicians are idiots and they think, come on, I have seen politicians say that they want to eliminate trees from the street because the trees will make the street dirty. Oh, come on, I have seen it happen. So yeah, I know. That's the best explanation I can come up with. But the implications. Do you think that they did it on purpose, or do you think that they did it because they knew? Because they knew that if people actually believed in the Mayans and the astronomy and the Hopi prophecy thing and everything else, and people were very worried about the 7 years in which this guy was supposed to rule. I mean, according to our calendar, this guy should have ruled from 2012 to 2019 and we're done, right? Right. Except for the fact that we are not in 2020. We are not in 2021. We are not in 2022. We are actually way off. Like, way off. We are late. You mean like what? Well, because according to the real calendar, as it the one that had the Mayans, the Egyptians, and everybody else, this is not 2022. So that means, basically, that we are just beginning. In the year 2020, if you do the math, that is the actual deal of the 2012. Now, if 2020 was the beginning of this thing and you're going to follow this same calendar, then the nightmare that we're going to go through, now you have a date. Because according to the Bible and everything else, is going to be the end of 2028. According to the Gregorian calendar, because the other calendars are way off. The other calendars we are supposed to be in, I think, 2014. And some people are even calling it the year number 2 after the great dawn or the great sunrise or something like that. So some people are even beginning to see this thing as we are in year number 1. Year number 1 of the new Earth. So did you know that? Did you know that, there are people that are actually following up the actual calendar, not the Gregorian one, not the fake one, not the one that is, altered by a fighting guy that, is trying to measure up their power by changing the dates and stuff like that just because they feel like it. I mean the actual calendars. So they are saying that we are in year number 1. Or right now we are in year number 2. So we have 5.5, almost 6 years, or something like 6.5 years to go. So 6.5 years to go. And I can tell you right now that 2020, everybody thought that it was the end. 2021, it was worse. This year is not even the first quarter. And we are already experiencing a melting in the economies and major breakdowns and all kinds of mental slavery. And we're seeing all kinds of emotional diseases. And we're all seeing more and more and more traps all over. And this is just, and it's not even round, like I said, it's not even round 2. And it's 7. It's supposed to be 7 years, this thing, until the year, like I said, if you follow this calendar, until the year 2028. So now you have a date. So if you are a prepper and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to store food. Yeah, I want to know if you're going to store enough food up until the year 2029. And I do mean 2029. And that's just you going to barely make it. Barely. Because if the first year is going to produce no food or whatsoever, then let's say that you have to have enough food or something for the year 2030. And I want to know how good can that food be if you're going to experience, the worst earthquakes and stuff like that hasn't even begun. All of this because, like I have been telling you in all of my videos, we know nothing. We don't understand anything. And the reason why we don't understand anything is because we don't pay attention to kids. I mean, come on, I was 7 and I was able to tell that the adults were idiots and stupid. Because if you have a month that is 7, you're supposed to be month number 7. You're not supposed to call it July, you're supposed to call it September. And if you have a month number 9, you're not supposed to call it September, you're supposed to call it November, because it is number 9. And stuff like that. That makes sense, right? I mean, for somebody that knows the very basic math and very basic, positional numbers, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th and stuff like that, then this should be basic. So anyway, I just hope this information is helpful somehow because, it is shocking how we know nothing. So, yeah, I hope to keep you posted of the things that we know nothing about.